Hello, hello, Shagat the Known here with another coding stream. Today we're going to be building an alarm thingy in Rust because that's what came to mind. It seemed like it'd be kind of fun. I call it Rusty Alarm here. As before, I don't really have like a script or anything. I don't necessarily have a complete plan of what I'm going to do. That's part of the fun, walking a bit of a tightrope. Um, but I do want to try to explain everything that I'm doing as I'm doing it, and I hope that I'll be able to kind of get a complete program of some sort working today. I should be able to, but I don't have unlimited time, so I may have to bail at some point and revisit this later. We'll see what happens. As I said, I do want to try to explain everything as I do it, and try to explain alternatives and justify why I do certain things that I do. So I don't want to waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get to it. And I'm going to start actually here in main and just kind of build out a little skeleton and describe my current thoughts, just to kind of lay the problem out. I say I want to build an alarm thingy. So what we're going to do is we're going to initialize things up here. So that's going to be, we'll say timers. Let's say config. And that's good enough for now, because config can kind of lump a lot of things in there. And then we're going to basically say worker loop. Now I could extract this into a thread or something at some point, but for now, all I actually want to do is an infinite loop here where we're going to check against conditions. And what I mean by that is if you're trying to run an alarm or something, you have a target time, and for just ease of speaking, I'm going to say if your current time is equal to the target time, then you want to trigger that alarm. So that's kind of the idea that I'm going for here. So we're going to check against conditions and run alarm if necessary. Now, what I want to actually start out by doing is just building out, start out doing, not by doing. What I want to actually start out doing is to just simply build out like a single working case here, and then it can be expanded to actually take multiple multiple alarms running concurrently. So we'll look into that's where I'm hoping I'll be able to get something more fully fledged working today. So the first thing I know I need to do here, what's going on? By the way, the zero there is throwing me off. Do you go by, is it Potter? Is it Otter? What do you prefer to go by? JHP? But yeah, I'm back with more. We're going to try and have a little bit of fun here. Glad to see you. So the first thing I know I'm going to want, Jeremy Potter. Okay. So you have a preferred way for me to refer to you, just for future reference? So let me think here. Chrono. I want Chrono because we're going to be doing time stuff. And while it Jeremy works, okay, perfect. While there is plenty of time stuff that we can do in the Rust standard library, Chrono really is nice, so I'm going to want to use that. Let me think about what else I need. I might use Serday at some point if I'm extracting into a larger config, but one thing that I know I'm going to need is the Windows crate, and that one is going to be, ooh, let's see if the AI helps me here. Yeah, version equal that, and then features equal that. That's the syntax, I believe. We're going to get the newest version of the Windows crate, and this is a place where I said I'll try to justify what I'm doing here as I go through this. And basically my intention here is that Windows has built-in functions that you can use to like play sounds and everything, so we're going to rely on that. I've not really done anything with like fmod in Rust before. I have done so in C++. I'm sure there's probably some bindings for those robust audio libraries to Rust, or you could, generate your own bindings or something to the C++ code. But for something as simple as I'm doing here, the Windows built-in functions to do things like play audio, that's more than enough here. And this features thing is going to be empty for the moment, but it's actually going to need to have some extra stuff in it, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So I'm going to want Chrono, I'm going to want Windows, and Yeah, I think I wanted to pull in some logging stuff as well, just to have a bit of a nicer way to print things out to the console. So we're gonna do log and simple logger. And this will be what I start with, but I'll probably be adding some more. Oh, dude, it is freaking out today. Come on, let me get the versions. As I said last time, I like to cheat. And instead of actually going to crates.io or the docs or anything, I like to just let the crates.io extension here figure out the version for me, because I'm lazy. I like being lazy. All right, so we have a handful of things here, and we'll be making use of all this for sure. So since I'm using Chrono, we're gonna get the prelude. Just kind of pull that in here. And the initial thing here is, first of all, I should add this, sleep. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a sleep for 1 second here at the end of the thread. So from sex 1. Other ways we could do this, of course, but this is a nice, quick, easy, simple way to just basically get this worker loop. We're going to go through, we're going to do our checks, enable whatever we need to enable basically, and then sleep and do it again. And the idea is that, again, I may extract out some threads or something if I think it would be helpful. Sometimes I do that with like listeners and such, but I don't know that I'm going to need that anytime soon. So we'll see where that goes. Got you on that hydrate. The liquid death. Alrighty, so we'll put that sleep in there, and we'll go ahead and build out like just a very simple idea of like a target and now, and kind of build the checks. So this is going to be very hard coded, and then it can be extrapolated a little bit into like a config file. So let's say, let me see if I can remember the syntax without looking it up. Let now equal chrono. No, it's not chrono. It's local time. No, see, I'm losing it. So what we're going to do, we're going to click over to my browser here. Almost knocked my water over. And I've already got chrono pulled up. But I want to go to docs.rs. Oh God, yeah. Go to the latest version. Give me the dark theme. Okay. So what I actually want here from docs.rs on the chrono crate is I want to scroll down a little bit, and this is what I wanted. So it's date time local. Excuse me, it's date time local and local now. You could just omit the type and you should be fine, but I'm going to go ahead and just copy that and bring it on over. How do I switch the windows so quickly? I have a Stream Deck with a lot of stuff configured on it. A whole lot of stuff configured on it. So I have, what I actually have right now is I have 2 separate window captures, and I have a button that hides the browser cap. So the browser capture is actually on top of the VS Code capture, and my Stream Deck button hides and like basically makes the browser visible or invisible for the OBS capture. So I like that style. I don't actually like to capture the full desktop. I like to be really in control of what I have. So here we go. So let now equal local now. We should be able to omit the type even. Yeah, it's able to infer that type, but we'll actually bring it back though. Doesn't hurt anything. And let's say let target. Unfortunately, Stream Deck is not officially supported in Linux. It does have some open source drivers that people have created, but they're pretty limited in what they can do. It's very like manual how you have to configure it. I would hope that one day they would actually like give proper Linux support, because I would consider, like, with the way ProtonDB and everything works these days, with even playing Windows games on Linux, like you could almost do everything from Linux. But it's still a little bit of a nicer experience to stream on Windows if you're trying to do things like Stream Decks and such. So we're going to say the target is we're going to do like 20 seconds from now. And that's going to be, so when we start our program, we get a quick, no, we're going to say 5 seconds. That's easier. So what I can actually do is say now dot, let's see. I believe there's a good way to grab this from here. So let's see what we have supported. I've done something like this before as well, so we'll see. We could always like clone it or something, but actually, you know what? We could also build it. I think that's what I've done in the past. So we'll say local from, actually that's right. Yeah, local from UTC date. No, let's take another look at the, there's a good example here on the Chrono docs. And I know this because I've done this fairly recently. Ah, that's what it is. It's, well, there's UTC. It's the same basic thing with local. Local, there it is. Local.ymd. That's what I want. It's not a double colon thing. So it is local.ymd. And then we'll feed it the values that I want to use here. There we are. So, I know you want a semicolon. We'll get to that, buddy. We'll get to that. So greedy. So in this case, like I could hard code all that in, but I'm actually going to pull these values out from now because I want this to be very dynamic. So every time I run this, we're going to get like a proper timer or a proper target based from our now. So then we're going to say now dot month, now dot day. And then it has these extra things, and then this HMS is hours, minutes, and seconds. So you can actually, you can kind of hard code something, but we should be able to grab it from our now as well and make this very, very dynamic and just get like exactly 5 seconds. So we're going to try just HMS, and for hour, we'll say now.hour, yep. Now.min. And now.second, okay. Plus 5. I'm assuming those are integers. Now.min is not happy. Is it minute? Yeah, now.minute. So let's go ahead and auto format this because it's starting to look pretty funky. Okay, so we have our current time. We have a target, which is 5 seconds beyond beyond our current time, but I wonder what actually happens if you overflow, returns the second number from 0 to 59. What happens if we give, I don't know, too many seconds? Like what if I add 63 seconds here? Well, we can find out. We can experiment with it. I would assume it might just roll over into minutes, but it'd be interesting to find out. So what we're going to do here is say if, and this is why it's so nice to use Chrono. Again, you could do a lot of this with the standard library, but std time duration. But it just feels a lot cleaner with Chrono from my experience. So that's why I am using Chrono for this. So all we're going to do is we're going to say if now is less than target. We're going to do that. And then the other thing we need to do before we, well, no, we'll probably do it at the start of the loop, actually. At the start of the loop, update current time, and we'll remove the type there, and we'll get our new time because we have to keep updating that. Oh yeah, I didn't make it mutable. We'll have to update our current time through each iteration of the loop. Otherwise, we made a terrible loop that's never going to change anything. So, in fact, I want to say now greater than target. We're going to do this check. We're going to say, basically, every time we go through the loop, now is going to increment by about a second because we're sleeping for a second here. And so after that, at some point in about 5 seconds, because of the way I've set this, we're going to actually trip this conditional here and we can do something. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and set up that logging that I was talking about before. And I didn't jot down exactly how to do it. We'll try to pull it out of the docs here. I could go copy it from one of my other programs, but we'll look at the docs here. Oh my god, I'm blind. It's too much. Let me open both of these. So what I want to do here is build out the simple logger here, hard code a default log level. I want to do that with the info level. So basically there's going to be a bunch of log levels that are supported by this. And if we go to this page here, we can see, I thought they showed up here. Well, we can see here like error warning, info, debug, and trace. You know, info is like a pretty nice middle ground you can target. So that's generally what I'm gonna aim for if I'm when I'm building these things out. So I'm just gonna hard code it in because I'm happy with that. But as we see here, we could actually build this in as features rather than hard coding it into the logger like I'm talking about. I believe with default it is trace. It is max level. I'm not seeing it, but I think by default it just tries to log everything possible. So you probably want to put some limits on it. If you don't, you will see logs from all sorts of things. Oops, I hid myself. You'll see logs from all sorts of things that you're not intending. The last time I was using this, I saw a bunch of logs from the request library as I was making web requests. So we're gonna say, oh no, we don't have to do that. That's it's it's like static. So it's just initializing the logger. Cool. And if I do something like this, we're probably gonna have to do an include, so I'll have to double check. But no, it's logger info, I think, or log info. This is why you check the docs. But as I said, I'm going off just off the top of my head here. We're gonna make this happen. All right, so alarm is happening. All right, and it seems to be happy. So what we should see is, let me shrink this down by 1. A little bit too large when I'm messing with the console, I think. Cargo run, let's see if it's happy. And we should see about a 5-second delay. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a bunch of spam, unless I've done something wrong. Now is being updated. So see, this is why it's interesting to see what I missed. So let's put some additional logging in there. And it's probably something easy. So let's put some additional logging in there. Log info. And we're going to do this here now. It could be that I did something wrong in my target. Let's see. All right. So now should be updating, yeah, okay. Let's try running again and let's see what we get on our now in target there. Nothing, why not? It seems like it may be failing on some initialization. Maybe the logging, perhaps. So let's take another look over here at the docs. I should put an info in front of the logger just to see if it trips. But yeah, that's what I missed. I need the logger up here as well. No, I don't. Let's go to this crate here. Let's see, simple logger, yep. Init with level. That's what I, oh, wait. First of all, did I change it from info? Or from warn to info? I did not. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to change this to info. We're going to build that. And I'm actually going to, well, I can't put an info up there, so entering, let's see what we get here. There we go. So I had the wrong log level. Warnings are at a different, yeah, okay, we're fine. So I just messed up initializing the logger. So that's perfect. So we're gonna get rid of that print line. And yeah, so basically, info is at a, what do you say, higher or lower level? It's a lower priority than warning. So warning was the highest priority that we had, and so anything that's less prioritized will not log. And info in this case was being neglected because I was stopping at warning, if that makes sense. So what we can see here is we have our date here, 8/17/2022, and we have 1750:07. And then here we have 12. Now there's some, I don't know what that is. That's nanoseconds, maybe. It looks like nanoseconds. So there's these like nanoseconds here. I don't really care about those. All I cared about was getting this 7 seconds here, incrementing up to 12. That gave us our offset. So if we run it again, we should see another 5-second offset, and it should function as expected. We go from 25 to 30, and right about now we should see, yep. So we're good. So the next thing I want to do is, this is going to be, let me think about how I want to do this. No, it doesn't matter yet. Let's go ahead and just start smushing a couple more things together before we really clean it up. So let me, if I can, let me drag that down a little bit. Actually, what I should do is, I'll think about another way to organize it later. Okay, so what I'm going to need to do is start getting some things in from the Windows crate. I went ahead and included that, but I added no features. So let's take a look at the Windows crate, and this one's going to be a lot different. This is provided by Microsoft. So the first time I used the Windows API in Rust, there's a Win API crate that was basically auto-generated bindings. And it's okay. I mean, it does what it's supposed to, but it's a little cumbersome to use. Microsoft has actually developed their own now, and it's still a little bit cumbersome to use, but it's nicer. So it's a little bit nicer at least. And it's nice to know that it is like a real officially supported thing from Microsoft, so you know like it's getting the proper love that it should. At least you would hope so. So we have a couple like overviews and stuff here. I'm not going to worry too much about it. What I want to do is I want to take a look at the docs. And this is actually not on docs. Where is it? Hang on. Yeah, it's actually not on docs.rs. It is on microsoft.github.io Windows Docs RS doc Windows. So this is how you actually get to the docs for the Windows crate. I believe they might also have one of their Windows related crates on docs.rs, but just as a note, it's basically docs.rs, but it's being hosted on Microsoft's GitHub. And is it going to have a UI? If it does, probably not today, but I'm not a UI person, but I've been trying to make UIs for some of my programs, and I've been using Slint, and I was interested in trying Dioxys. I've had really good luck with Slint, though. I like things that allow you to separate the code from the UI. And by that I mean Slint has its own little markup language that allows you to define the UI completely separately from like your source code. And I like things like that. So if I were to do it, it wouldn't be terribly difficult to put something together, but that's more of that's not an initial target, basically. So what I've already done here is on the docs here, I've already got the tab here, but basically I ran a search for play sound because knowing the Windows API, I know there's some play sound functions, and we'll get these results here. So there's a few different functions here, and if you never use the Windows API, it's a bit of a pain trying to figure out like why are there so many different, like what is A and what is W, and what is the difference between play sound and SND play sound. So sometimes it could be a little weird, and basically you just want to kind of go check out what the Windows API docs themselves have to say about these functions. So what I'll probably also do is run a search for play sound A. So play sound A and play sound W, and we'll take a look at these on the Windows documentation. If I can, there's play sound W. Oh, that's back to this one. It's not actually what I wanted. Let's see. I might be missing it. It's taken me to like Unreal Engine and all kinds of things that are not what I want. Windows API. See, this play sound function is fine, but I would like to actually look at what the difference between these functions are. I'm not sure why I'm not finding it though. Let's see. How about... Let me look for something else real quick. Read process memory. That's a function I've used before. Okay, here we are. Here's probably where I want to be, roughly. This is the dock portal I was looking for, I think. So let's... development, no, resources. Here we are. API. Maybe I could have got to it from the other page, but we'll look for it here. So many things, though. Play sound W. Okay, it's just linking to play sound, so it looks like they may have cleaned some of this up. But that raises the question of what the play sound W is. Play sound W is Unicode and A is ANSI. Okay, so there's two different functions depending on the types of strings that you're using, I guess. So if I can, I'd like to go back over to this Rust one here, and what if we just do... Well, let's see, we have user notification. I don't think I want user notification stuff. So I think what I'm actually going to go with is play sound A. And let's take a look at what we have here. So play sound A, it takes in this PSZ sound, this HMOD, and this FDW sound. And you're like, what the hell is that, right? So that's why we open this stuff up in the Windows documentation itself to get explanations for what these are. And that's where I'm talking about. It's still a little bit cumbersome to use the Windows API, even with the official crate, because you have to kind of figure out and understand what these parameters are, but we have no indication of what they are here, which is unfortunate. But we do have an indication of something, and while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and copy paste this. We need two features, Win32 Media Audio and Win32 Foundation. So I'm going to go ahead and copy paste those and put those in our features here on the dependency. So I won't have to worry about that in a minute. And then we're going to click back over and take a look at those parameters, and I'll probably copy some of that into my source file there, so I don't have to keep bouncing back and forth. So let's take a look here. Okay, so the first thing is PSZ sound. It's a string that specifies the sound to play. Easy enough. But the max length is 256 characters. Could be a problem. It won't be in this case. If it's null, it actually stops any waveform sound that's currently playing. To stop a non-waveform sound, you specify this sound purge in the third parameter, the FDW sound. Okay, so that's cool. And then there's some flags: sound alias, file name, resource. There's another flag that I care about that we're going to have to go to in a minute, and that's going to be the async one, but we'll get to that in a minute. Sound async. So anyway, we also have HMOD, handle to the executable file that contains the source. It must be null unless sound resource is also specified. So we're actually not going to be using that. So that's pretty easy. All we really care about is getting a string in the correct format, which here it's specified as an LPC TSTR, long pointer to, I forget, it's weird Windows stuff. And DWord, FDW sound, which really that's just like it's a bunch of flags that are being ORed together basically, but I believe that's going to be handled for us in Rust with a struct probably, so we'll see how that works out. So this is the one I care the most about, but I don't really think I need to look up what it is. So the one piece of information we do want to get here is what the hell is the, like, this Windows Win32 Media Audio Play Sound A. That's a lot of stuff to, like, a lot of what's the word? It wouldn't be namespaces. I don't know a better word off the top of my head, but it's a lot to go through to get to the actual function that we want. So I'm going to copy that and take it with me because I don't feel like remembering it. So we're going to go ahead and use that. And it should, yep, it's happy. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a function here called play sound, and it's going to take file name, just a string slice there, and maybe it'll return something. It'll probably return something actually, but we'll get to that in a minute. So all I want to do for the moment is just get this thing playing a sound. And we see here I actually have an alarm.mp3. I can copy the path to that, and we can pass in play sound. Let's see. This is going to be terrible at first, by the way, because it's going to keep playing it over and over through the loop, and we're going to clean it up over time. So, whoops, I should probably do that. And of course, it's Windows, so it's putting these backslashes, which sucks. You could flip them. I've never had a case where I can't just flip the slashes, and normally I do. So there we go. We'll pass that in. And then we want to try calling this play sound function with that file name and see what we get. So now one thing is it's going to be unsafe. So we're going to have to do some extra stuff around it. And that's the reason I built my own function here, is so I could try to catch any errors that it's going to give us and handle things safely in my own function here without actually, you know, having to put my unsafe code in my main loop, basically. In cases where you're doing things like manipulating user input, so I've done plenty of programs where I'm like controlling the mouse or keyboard or something. You're doing a lot of those unsafe calls to do like get get async key state, things like that. You're checking key states all the time. That's unsafe. If you're actually sending input, like sending fake mouse and keyboard input, that's unsafe. So there's going to be a lot of that, and it's nice to kind of build up your own little wrappers around them, and actually check the Windows errors to say, hey, what went wrong if something did go wrong, and let's not, you know, completely crash the program or something if you know, things freak out a little bit. So we have play sound A, and we're not going to be able to pass in the file name, I'm sure. Maybe we will. And then this needs to be a null pointer. Is it PTR? Null. And this last one needs to be some flags. And it needs to be, what type is that? So I need to position my drink better. I keep almost hitting it. So let's go back over to the documentation, and we need this FDW sound. So I'm going to go over here to my searches, and I'm going to look for that and see if it's given us a struct of some kind that we can use here. So there's a lot of DW stuff here. No, that's all we have, which is a little odd because normally, oh, it's just a U32 though. So it's actually, they didn't build out a struct. In a lot of cases, you can find a struct that allows you to set which things you want and don't want, but it's just a U32. But that means we need to know what these values actually are. And the reason I care about this is because I want to do sound async. The sound is played asynchronously, and play sound immediately, it returns immediately after beginning the sound. I want to do that because I don't want to tie up my thread when I start playing a sound and wait for it to finish. Imagine if you're playing a song or something and you have to wait 10 minutes for the song to finish before something else can happen. That's terrible. So instead of actually having to spin up another thread and use that to play the music, this already has that functionality built in. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to see if I could find this sound async in here. And I can. So we're going to have to cross-reference a little bit. And let's see, Windows Win32 Media Audio. Is there anything in that same... Whoops, I need to Win32. Oh my God, what is wrong? Why is it not happy with that? Okay, I don't buy that. Why is it getting mad? What am I doing wrong? Okay, it apparently doesn't like searching for something even when I copy paste it from there. That's fine, whatever. I can't find audio here, so we'll probably just use this one from the system services. What I wanted to make sure is that there is no redundancy, because in this Windows programming, sometimes there can be a lot of redundancy. For instance, look how many things there are called save async down here. We have save async on this ink stroke, the ink manager, the game save stuff, games enumeration and all that. Dude, it's all over. Windows code is very, very crazy. So we also need this feature as well. So let's go ahead and do sound async. And I don't know if that's the feature I got earlier. I'm gonna just double check real quick. No, it is not. So I'll bring that back with me. So we need this. And let's click back over to here. System services, perfect. And then back over here. And it is... Okay, so we do have send flags. Okay, so there may be something a little... There is a struct, so there may be something related to this. But it seems like we would still want to actually get this. It's just a U32 value that we're expecting. So if possible, let's see what we can do with this. Let's see if we can make this work. There's a little bit of sometimes trial and error when it comes to Windows programming. So what if I just feed this thing in here? Yeah, it's not happy because it's actually a struct. Oh, wait. No, okay, yeah, so this is one I expected. And that's why I said immediately that it wouldn't work. It wants that PCSTR, and that's not satisfied. So we need to find a way to convert this to that weird Windows string type that it's wanting. So we're gonna hop back over to the documentation again. And this is always fun, but I've made some really cool stuff with the Windows API, so it can be worth it. I made a Final Fantasy VII trainer that actually goes in and reads and writes memory in the game while it's running, does all kinds of fun stuff. So what I'm curious about is, what does this do? There's a macro here that I saw earlier, and it terminates a... I don't think that's what I want. But what is this W macro? Converts the literal UTF-8 into a UTF-16, adding a terminator and wrapping it in an H string reference, so it can be used for calling... Okay. But this gives us a PCW, that's a wide string. We just need a PC STR. So there's probably a helper way to do that. Or, if I really want to be lazy, what if I check play sound W? Let's look for play sound W real quick. And yeah, so that wants a wide string. But let's actually take a look and try to figure out the right way to get one of these. So it actually, yeah, a pointer to a constant null terminated string of 8-bit Windows ANSI characters. And it wants this, it's basically, yeah, it is a C string essentially. So what I'm curious about is we have from raw, we can construct it from a raw pointer. Can we construct it from something else? We can turn it into a Rust string. How do we make one from a Rust string? That's not going to be it. Let me double check and make sure I didn't miss it up here. Construct one from a raw pointer. Construct a null one. Checks whether it's null. Has bytes, toString, display. It's not super exciting there. Okay, so we may have to be a little more explicit in terms of how we create one. So let's see if we can do that. We need this thing here. So let's go ahead and copy that and bring it with us. This is why I was saying, like, it may not get to a point of having any kind of user interface or anything today. but you know, it's still fun to mess with. All right, so let PC SDR. I have a smart package. Cool. I didn't know I was expecting a package today. Let's see. From raw. So we can say file name as pointer, and that gets our const u8, right? And then if I feed this PCSTR in, is it happy? Maybe. It expected U32 and it found the sound flags. That's perfectly okay. Let's go ahead and actually save these sound flags so we can kind of poke around with them a little bit and see what we can do with them. I mean, yes, I could just put a dot here and see what shows up. But in fact, maybe we should. Yeah. That should get us a U32. So the trait bound H instance from, okay. I'm thinking that's going to be that null pointer for HMod. So let's click back over and check the documentation a little bit more. Where is it at? I'm getting lost in everything. Where is play sound A? Oh no, I'm lost. Did I click away from it at some point? Maybe I did. I don't see the Rust documentation for play sound A. I only see the one for the search over there. So let's open it back up and oh, actually I do need to, yeah, I do need to take a look at a couple things. So yeah, HMod is P1 and that needs H instance. Okay. So that's its whole other thing. It's got its whole struct here. And we could probably just build one of those, I would think. Let's see. Yeah, I'm guessing we could just go ahead and build one of those out and see what happens. Or is it possible to cast something? I don't see anything obvious, no. Okay, yeah. So let's go ahead and try building one of these out. Another notification about said package, cool. Right, so we're gonna say hmod equal oh, whoops, my bad. Getting lazy. And we just need that 0 field. Yeah. Weird naming, but okay. But see, here's the problem. I don't know what you want. So let's take another look at it. Oh, whoops. I forgot to... Okay, that's fine, actually. It's an eye size. My bad. I forgot to click back over. So, it's an eye size. So we'll just put 0 here. And we'll do this here. All right, and now we've satisfied everything there. So we're gonna just wrap this in an unsafe. Boom, okay. We did all that just to make Windows happy. Well, really just to make this part, to make Rust happy, I guess. The borrow, not the borrow checker, but the, I don't know what it is, whatever does the unsafe check. That was just to make that happy. We had to do all this other crap just to make the Windows crate happy because it wants to do way too many things. Windows is, again, a little bit messy. That's why you build your wrapper here and then you forget about it. So I'm going to just remove the sound flags thing there. We don't need it, at least the way I've done this here. we've made this HMOD with nothing on it, so hopefully that's fine. And we've built out this PC str string from the string slice that we passed in, so that's fun. And if all goes well, we should actually be able to go ahead and play a sound. But before I do that, I'm gonna go back over here, and I wanna see what this thing returns, if anything. It returns a bool. But the problem is that there could be some issues in that send async causes it to return immediately. So that might result in some discrepancies. And what I mean by that is, what if there were an issue halfway through playing the sound or something? You wouldn't get any information on that back. But I think we would still get information telling us basically, hey, the sound failed to even start playing. So we probably want to check that return there, that bool. And yeah, returns true if successful or false otherwise. So we'll go ahead and I won't forget to switch back into this time. And we will say, how do I want to do this? I might pull in another crate here actually to do some error, some result stuff. So let's go ahead and actually grab that one real quick. Rust anyhow. And what is the version here? 1.0. Oops. All right, so I'm gonna just go paste that. I'm not gonna switch because I'm just gonna paste it. I'll be right back to the browser. And let's take a look at how to use this because I always forget the syntax. So we want to use anyhow result, and all we have to do here is pass a result with the thing back. So that should be fine. If yeah, so I could just do that. We may, I don't know if we're gonna need context, so we'll just do anyhow result, and we'll just return a result with the was it the unit type? Is that what the empty tuple is called? So let's try that out. Use anyhow result, and then we're gonna come down here at the end and do an OK. And well, actually, no, we're gonna switch it up a little bit, but it's gonna have the same meaning. But we're gonna say if all of that returns true, I'm gonna have to do an extra thing on it though. Do an OK, else anyhow failed to play sound. I think most of that'll work. I know we're gonna have to fight with it. It's gonna be oh wait, semicolon's bad though. Okay, yeah, all that is good. Found enum result. Okay, we'll double check in a moment. Dot, where is it? Oh, I need to remove, okay, yeah. I'll walk through all the changes I'm making here in a moment, why it's set up the way it is. So as bool, beautiful. Something just happened. Hey, thanks for that follow, appreciate it. Ooh, sliding in from the side, I like that. How's it going? I was like, something happened, and I was just like waiting on it. I'm making what I'm calling an alarm thingy. Give me just a moment, and I'll be done with this function here, and I'll be ready to test it out, and I can kind of go through everything that I have built up at this point. Expected. Yeah, so I think I want to do anyhow error. Oh, do I gotta wrap it in an error? Okay. I haven't used anyhow that much. Perfect. Alrighty. So there we go. That should make everything happy. Let's do a cargo build. And I'm gonna walk through what's going on there because the Windows API is weird, as I've already said. Cool, everything's happy for the moment. Yep. Can't complain about that. Awesome. So, well, one more thing. Let's just go down here and let's slap this on main as well. So it'll stop complaining about the unused result. Boom! There we go. Okay, so we'll walk through it all here in just a second now. I'll zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so this is, again, what I'm calling an alarm thingy. It's basically an alarm, and it's written in Rust, no JavaScript. It's written in Rust here, so what we do is we start out, I just make a logger, and then I'm just getting my now time, and right now, I haven't built out a config or anything yet, so what I've done is I've basically hard-coded this to grab the current, basically this same info from now, and then just add 5 seconds to it just to get a hard-coded easy thing to test in here. And I'm just logging them so I can see them as it happens. And then we enter this loop, and basically through the loop, we're going to go through, we're going to update the local time, or the current time, and then we're going to check to see if our condition is met, if now is greater than our target time. And then hopefully we're going to play a sound. I just finished that function, so we haven't seen it quite yet. But hopefully we're going to play a sound. I mean, we know it works because earlier the log is working, and this is a really simple thing. It's not difficult. So the bulk of the time so far has been spent on getting this play sound thing working. And that's what I'm going to break down here in a moment. And afterwards we sleep for a second. And the idea is that this is going to be expanded. There's going to be a config file where it's basically saving multiple alarms, and you can have multiple things set up for different days with different like recurrences. Like I want this to happen every week. I want this to happen every day. Something along those lines. So that's the idea. Right now it's like we hard code it, just build something, get something working, and then expand it. So the play sound function is where it gets weird, because this is all Windows API stuff. And Windows API is kind of messy, but you know, it works, it does stuff. So I made my function as a safe wrapper because like almost all the calls you're going to do to the Windows API are unsafe. And if I mouse over here, we could see pub unsafe function. So I wanted to make my own wrapper and kind of catch any weirdness that might happen when calling this unsafe function. So in order to use this function, we need the file name as this PCSTR. So I've taken the string slice that I'm passing in and throwing it into this struct here, getting it as a pointer, and it's so basically the struct has the from raw method built onto it, and then so we feed it that raw pointer, and it's able to convert it to a PCSTR, and then we need this H instance as well, just to satisfy this middle parameter. But basically we want it to be null, so I've just set it to 0 for now, and we'll hope it works. But I haven't tested it yet. And then this last bit here is I want to play the sound asynchronously. I don't want to block my main thread, so I'm going to play it asynchronously. That way it just starts the sound up and then kicks me back to whatever else. And then this play sound A function, it returns a bool, but it's not just any bool because this is Windows API. So it's this weird foundation bool thing, right? And I'm able to do an as bool on that to actually convert it from this Windows Win32 foundation bool into an actual real Boolean. And so basically, if it returns true, we get our okay out of this and we're happy. Else, I'm just going to return an error with this anyhow, which is just an error. It's a, well, let's actually switch over and I'll read about anyhow for a moment. It's supposed to be a way that unifies a lot of the different error handling things between different crates in Rust. So let's switch back to the browser and take a look at it real quick. So this library provides anyhow error, a trait object-based error type for easy idiomatic error handling in Rust applications. So there are, because it's trait-based, other crates can build in support for anyhow, meaning it'll just work out of the box with anyhow because it's trait-based. That's about the gist of it. I've only used it one other time, so I mean, maybe there's still other things I don't know about it. It's always a learning experience. But basically we've done the same kind of idea here where We're just returning a result and an anyhow error, and then we're able to use those question marks to just bubble up errors as we get them. So that's about it. Let's go ahead and see if this plays the sound. Although, unfortunately, I'm going to have to capture the audio, so you won't hear the initial sound. I'm going to have to maybe fight with this for a moment, so bear with me. And I wouldn't say the Rust language is actually that complicated. It's a little more explicit, but it's I find it easier these days than something like Python. It just depends on what you're doing too, though. A lot of this complexity here is because of the Windows API. So I'm gonna Control C this if it starts doing it. It's doing something, but not what I expected. So that's interesting. Okay, let me start this up again and give me just a moment. I'm going to try to forcefully capture the audio from this. Give me just a moment. I gotta go to studio mode. Actually, I don't. I can do it from here. Where is it at? Crap, I'm not seeing it. Okay, so yeah, I am having an issue. But you're not gonna be able to hear it. So let me... So something weird is happening, and I'm not sure what it is. It's actually not working. It's playing like a Windows error sound almost, not actually the alarm sound here that I've intended it to play. And if I open up, you won't be able to see this, but I'm going to open up VLC and I'm going to play that alarm sound. And this is what you should be hearing. Let me get the... Where is the folder? I've got too many folders open. Rusty alarm. So this is where we're gonna have to troubleshoot a little bit with the Windows API and figure out what's happening. Res, and you should be able to hear this. Actually, no. For some... Oh, I know why. Okay, we'll kill that. Close that window. Let me try that again. Sorry about the technical issue here. Dude, I swear I just had that thing open. Where did it go? If I open this, does it capture? There we go. That's my alarm sound, okay? So what we should be able to do is get that sound playing, but right now I'm only getting a little Windows like ding error sound over and over. So there's clearly some sort of issue happening in the way that I'm calling this. That would be my guess. I'm wondering if I can get any information on it from the Windows Error API. So it might be worth taking a detour into that. But let's take another look here at the API documentation on Play Sound. So what we do know is this returns a bool. And it's just true if successful or false otherwise. So let's read this carefully. The sound specified must fit into available physical memory. That's not an issue. I've got tens of gigs available. And be playable by an installed waveform audio device driver. That should support MP3, but I wonder, perhaps I should actually create... Should I modify it and... yeah, let me actually re-export that as a a wave file and see if that's enough to make it happy. So give me just a moment here. I'm sad I closed my other VLC instance though. I had a good playlist going. Okay, let me find that again. I'm just going to export this alarm sound as alarm.wave and see if that makes it happy. Now again, there are limitations to the Windows API, and you would maybe want to use a more robust framework if you were making something that wasn't such a simple program as what I'm doing. Fmod comes to mind. I have used that in C++ before. Not in Rust, though. Alarm.wave. Let's try that out. It should pop up in just a moment here on the res. Should. There it is, yeah. Okay. So let's try swapping that out with a wave file and see if that makes it happy. Oh, it does. It does. Let's see if I can capture this now. Oh, it's not capturing it. Damn it. This is the problem with separating all your audio sources. Let me look closely at what all I have running. This is goofy, I love it. No, it's not. Still not giving me an option for that. All right, we're gonna say, I'm gonna do a hack here. There we go. Here's the alarm. That's better. Alrighty, so it's working now. Kind of. It's goofy. So what I want to do is I want to start cleaning this up a little bit and expanding the capabilities of it, because I know my play sound works. Let's actually try something. Let's delete a letter in that. That's no longer a valid path. So we'll just see that I get a proper, I mean, the program will crash because we're using the question mark here. Oh no, actually, this is what was happening earlier. I find it interesting that it's not actually crashing, because we should be bubbling up an error. Strange. That's what was happening earlier when I was trying to play the MP3. Yo, what's going on, Farayu? It's been a minute. What's up with you? Okay, let's, did you hear my alarm? Did you hear my alarm a moment ago? We'll play it for you real quick. It is the Price is Right losing horn, repeating every second. It's midnight. Hey, thanks for dropping in though, and hanging out and stuff, and appreciate that follow. That's gonna be your alarm in the future. This is gonna wake you up tomorrow. All right. So, okay, we've got a basic little like skeleton thing working here. So I want to start thinking about things that I want to do to expand this. So one of the things I want to do to expand it is to have a config file that defines multiple alarms. So it actually does, right? It does make a nice alarm sound because of the way it loops. Like it's perfect. Like if I make this 2 seconds, it won't be as good, I guarantee. Let's find out. We gotta hear it real quick. Yeah, that's not as good. It's like teasing you because you know the rest of the sound, you know what's about to happen, but you don't get it. It's like blue balling you every time. Okay. So as I was saying, I want to make like a config file where you could have multiple alarms, because if I go ahead and build out like a GUI and everything, like you can imagine the user is going to want to set up some like maybe multiple alarms and have different settings for each alarm, and they don't want to like have to manually set that every time, right? So you probably want to like save that off in a file somewhere, load it in dynamically when the program starts up. So that's what I want to think about kind of running towards next. And we also want to clean up. So I'm going to say this is something we'll clean up actually as I start getting multiple alarms. But one of the things I do want to clean up is basically like I don't want it to play more than once, but I do want to build in the functionality to say like, what about a repeating alarm? Like an alarm that do this every day, do this certain days of the week or whatever. So there's going to be some stuff there where it'll get a little interesting in like piecing together the logic. So I'm going to say clean up, stop from repeating unnecessarily. Make it open a random number of limit parties. I don't know about that. Especially not on here. Especially not on the stream, man. That's a good way to not be streaming anymore. Snooze button could be interesting, yeah. That's that'll be built into the control logic somewhere. So we'll leave a comment here for that. Okay, so that's cool. So as for the config, the way I typically do configs is with Serde, which I did not import yet. So let's go ahead and get Serde in. For real though, Free, what have you been up to, man? It's been a minute. Okay, is it just... No, it's derive. And I think it's lowercase. We'll do that, we'll let it get mad at me, and then I'll have it tell me what version it is. Snooze increment, yeah, like, so instead of like 10 minutes, make it... That would be like a UI thing, I think. So it would be like you build in the logic for snooze here, but then make it customizable through a UI, I think. Snooze with customizable increment. That's nice. See, I didn't even think about that. So I'm glad you're here giving suggestions. So yeah, we're gonna say use Serde serialize, deserialize. Oh my god, I can't type while I talk. I need to get better at it though. Okay, so now we're gonna build out a config. So I'm gonna say struct alarm config. And let's think about what it's gonna look like. The first thing I think I wanna do, it's actually gonna be... What I'm thinking is it's going to be a vector of multiple alarms. So alarms, vec alarm, and then we're going to have struct alarm, and we're going to have some stuff in there. You got a dip. All right, dude, it's good seeing you here, though. It's, like I said, it's been a hot minute. Got to deal with some child stuff, you say. We're going to do debug, serialize, deserialize, copy that line, bring it down here. Boom. Okay, so what do we want in an alarm? We probably also want an enum. You might want a couple enums, and those are going to be used for the different states, or the different like repetitions of the alarm. So what do I want to call this? What I'm saying is, what if you want to repeat it daily, or repeat cycle? I don't know, that's what I'm going to call it for now. So you could say daily, weekly, monthly, hourly, and then I'm going to make a couple more custom ones here, and I'm going to say every, how do I want to word this? Every X minutes. And that's going to take in like a U, we don't need a U32 for minutes. Do a, I mean, a U8 would be enough for that. Every X seconds for whatever reason. We'll do a U16 for that. And for hours, I'm going to say a U8 is fine. Okay, and then, yeah, U8's fine. And then this is all, I'm just throwing stuff at the wall and I'm going to see what sticks right now, and then it can be cleaned up in a little bit. But I'm kind of just, I'm thinking aloud as I'm defining these enum variants here. So the other one I want to do is actually, I want to say specific days. So I want to be able to say, what if you just want like every Monday, Wednesday, whatever, right? So we need every specific day. The name's horrible, but bear with me. And it's going to take a hash set, std collections, hash set of day, week, day. You could do it with numeric values, but I'm gonna just do another enum. Yeah, weekday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Cool. Where are you, Mad? Oh, right. We need partial EQ, and we could do EQ, yeah. And we need hash, yeah. Okay, because we're actually hashing it, we're putting it in a hash set. We got to do the equals and the hashes where we need, where we can. Okay, so the idea here is if you're making an alarm for like weekday, for like work days or something. My last job was a 410 work schedule, so maybe you don't want it to be Friday, you just want Monday through Thursday. So this here allows you to just, you know, just build out a set of the exact days each week that you want. You could have a separate alarm for your Saturdays and all that. I mean, you know how alarms work. So that's the idea that I'm going for here. And then we could have just bulk dailies and weeklies and stuff. But then that also raises the question of, is the daily even worth it if we have this specific day? I'm gonna get rid of the every there. I think that sounds better. So these dailies, I might just get rid of that because this, I don't know. We'll keep it for now. We'll keep it for now, and I'll kind of hash this out. No pun intended. I'll kind of hash this out as I continue to develop this. So there's the repeat cycle. So every alarm is going to have some kind of repeat cycle associated with it. So we're going to say repeat cycle, just like that. And it's going to need a time associated with it. So it's going to be a time of day. So I do know that Chrono's time can be serialized and deserialized. So let's click over to the docs here because I believe it needs a feature. So if we go to the Chrono docs here and I look for Serday, optional features, Serday, and oops, didn't mean to go to another page. Didn't realize it was a link. So Serday enables serialization and deserialization. So that's all I need to know. So let's go convert my my Chrono dependency over to this other format. Just like that, and it should be happy. And now I can actually put the Chrono time structs, objects, whatever you want to call it. They're structs, it's Rust. but almost feels better to call it an object in this case for some reason. We could put these chrono time structs in our alarm itself. So we could say target time, and then it's just going to be local. Is it just local? We used it earlier. The trait about. Oh, it's not. Okay. I think I need date time local. Let's find out. If this doesn't make it happy, it's because local is actually a trait, isn't it? Yeah. No, it's a struct. Okay. We needed to pack it into the date time, I see. Let's read this again. Let's actually see what the issue is. The trait-bound chronolocal serialize is not satisfied. Right. Okay, so it can only serialize the date time. It can't serialize local itself. Got it. Cool. Okay. It's got 41 implementations. Ridiculous. We'll do a cargo build for sanity. And we'll do a cargo run. Let's hear our beautiful alarm. Okay, so there we go. Got a little bit more going here towards building out a bit of a config with a bit of like interesting logic now, rather than just let's loop and play a sound forever. So let's go ahead and think about setting some of this up. But let me verify that this is actually all that I want, at least for the moment. An alarm has a target time. Let's say right now local time is 1847. So let's say target time is 19. And then I want to do this every day for some reason. That's cool. Is there... Oh, of course. The other thing I wanted to make configurable is the sound. So what do I want to call it? Alarm sound. And we'll just say... I'm going to be lazy and do path buff. Wait, I could just type path buff. Watch this. Boom. It did the import for me. Serial... What? Oh, whoops. I put a semicolon. That's why. I got too excited. Okay. I was like, wait, what? Okay. So we're going to do a path buff because I'm lazy. And that means that whatever is fed in, it will automatically be... it'll be deserialized from that string in the config file into a path buff. And then I can just immediately do a check on it to say, is it a file? And if it's not a file, I can, yell at the user or something and berate them for giving me an invalid thing. So yeah, that's about it for the getting the initial config going, I think. Again, this may change. So we have a vector of alarms, and that's it. Okay. It may seem a little weird to put this in here, and really, I don't think you have to, but I think it's cleaner that way. So the other thing is, what format are we going to use? If I can, I would like to use TOML, probably. But I don't think I'll be able to, because I think I've made this too complex for TOML. So we're also going to try YAML. And then if it doesn't work for TOML, I'm going to swap it out for YAML. So I'm just going to be lazy and put... Is it YAML or is it Serde YAML? Seems like it's YAML. It is Serde YAML. I don't want just YAML. I was like, I just did this 2 days ago on stream as well. I should know these things. Okay, so let's see if I can do this without having to look it up, but I'll probably forget anyway. Up here, I'm going to build a dummy config just to go ahead and populate a file and test things out a little bit. So let's say let alarm config equal alarm config, and then put our semicolon there, and let's let it fill in the match arm. Now this is a vector of alarms, not windows, alarms. Okay, alarm alarm. I'm gonna put just 2 of them because that's enough to, excuse me, that's enough to figure out what, actually no, I'll put more. We need to get these enum variants in there so I can see how they function. Ah, damn it, you know what I should have done though is I should have filled the struct fields first. Oh, I know you're so mad right now, but just wait, okay? I know I could have done that all at once too. All right, unreachables, that's fine. A to-do should actually panic, doesn't it? Yeah, it panics if you actually hit a to-do. But it's a good way to keep it from being as mad at you when you're trying to get things implemented. Okay, so alarm sound. Right now, they're actually all going to be the same. But the idea is that you might want to play different things for different purposes. So, yoink. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to do them all at once. I guess I could have done a find and replace. Yoink. And then we're going to say path buff from. And there we are. So target time, I'm going to need something. I'll put something different on all of them just for fun. We're going to say year, month, day. And then I'm going to say, what time is it? 8:19. Oh no, we need, excuse me, we need 20, is it 2022 or is this 22? I think it's, yeah, it's 2022. So we need the year, we need the month, it's 8. I promise I can math sometimes. .hms, no, and HMS. And then I'm gonna say 1902:37. And why is it telling me I need another argument? I must have typoed something somewhere. Oh, it's that, first of all. There we go. That's the problem. There we are. And yeah, you know what? Let's do this. Let's just go ahead and make them all uniform right now. And we'll change a couple of these. That should be good enough, right? Okay, and then repeat cycle. This is where I want to have fun with the enums. So daily, weekly, monthly, all that's fine. Repeat cycle daily. I don't need another one of those because they're all going to function the same. So we'll do specific day. We need a hash set of weekdays. I'll do a couple of those. So I'll say, I'm going to rename that to specific days, but I'll do that later. And then we're going to say let days equal, let mute days. All right, we'll make a new hash set and we'll say days.insert. And I need weekday. Whoops, not weed day. Sunday. All right, that makes it happy. I'm gonna do another couple like that just to get some variations here. So repeat cycle. Okay, and one more with like a lot of days. Whoops. Recopy repeat cycle. We're gonna say Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. Then we're gonna kill this line. All right, we're good on that. Now I need every X minute. These are all basically the same. So every X minutes. What was it? Forgot the name. Repeat cycle. Well, every 12 minutes. And then we're going to say every 12 seconds. And on this one, we're going to say every 30 seconds. It's going to be enough time to maybe get a little bit of variation going. So here's our initial alarm config. And it's serializable. We already know that because I've done the derive for it. So we're going to say let, I know it's going to fail, but toml string equal toml to string alarm config. And I know you're unused, you're a result. We're going to bubble that up. It's going to fail, I already know, but it's fine. And then we're going to say, this is the one that threw me off the other day, and I am going to just go double check. Actually, we could do it again. No, I'm going to do it again manually. That's better. That's better. I'm not going to copy paste, even though it's in my own code. Rust write string to file. What did I do a couple days ago? Yeah, that's what I did, I'm sure. So we include fs file. We include IO prelude. I don't know. Yeah, I guess we do need. Oh, okay. Yeah. I see. All right, let me get back here. And will it import the prelude? Yeah, we'll just do IO right. Okay, that's good. And this is going to be alarmconfig.toml. Do I need as bytes? Yeah. Okay. We've got enough to make a beautiful toml file that's going to fail. It's going to fail because the enums are too complex. We can't support that in toml. So it's unsupported Rust type down here. So as expected, Serday YAML to string. We're going to say alarmconfig.yaml. And everything else is the same. YAML string, boom. Now let's check out our beautiful alarmconfig.yaml file. And here we are. So this is what's going to power the program now. Except it's failing again. Why? It's playing the gross sound. I'll figure that out in a minute. There's some weirdness going on with the Windows API side over here, so doesn't mean things are perfect yet. We'll work that out. That's the purpose of doing this, right? So, unfortunately, though, I'll probably only go about another half hour, so that'll leave this hanging until I can resume it Probably on Monday. If I can wait that long, let's be honest. Let's see. So we have a config file. I don't really care about any of that I wrote now. I'm going to cut all of that, and I'm just going to slap it down here below main in a giant comment. Yoink. And now we're going to read in the file. So we're going to say let alarm config string equal include stir, and it's going to be alarm config.yaml. And if it doesn't complain, we're in good shape. Sweet. Okay, now we're going to say let alarm config equal match Saturday YAML from string, from stir alarm config string, boom. And we need some match arms. I need to figure out the keyboard shortcut to do this. There we go. Oops, it's not called config, that's why. Okay, and then we'll get our error here. We'll capture that. Perfect. And at this point, if we can't load the config, well, what we really want to do is probably not fail. I'm thinking ahead and saying at this point, I would be okay failing because this is still building up the initial idea. But what you would really want to do is have something configurable by the user. So maybe if it fails to load a config, you build up a default config. So instead of failing here, I'm going to go ahead and build up a default like naked config. That way there's at least something to work with here. And then looking forward, when you're building like a UI front end for this or something, you have a place, or the user could go manually edit the config file. But you have a way for the user to add things to that config file later on. But yeah, so if that does introduce one problem though, that maybe it would be nice rather than using the include string macro, maybe it would also be nice to check for the file, and if there's no YAML config there in the first place, why don't we just make a new one as well? What if they delete it or something, right? So this would cause the program to crash if the file is not there. So yeah, that's something to do in the future. Check if file exists and make new one if not. Okay, if it doesn't, I don't like that. Okay, that's better. All right, so here we want to make a default alarm config if we were unable to read it for some reason. That does... Okay, I'm starting to think a little bit more about it too, though, and there's another potential issue. If I make a default, do I want to write over an existing one? Because what if the user was manually editing it and they screwed up and they left out a comma or something? YAML doesn't have commas, but what if they left out a colon or something and they broke it? You wouldn't want to erase their entire config. That's kind of rude. So instead, I need to think about maybe a good middle ground approach. Because at this point, I would argue it's almost better to crash, and maybe this is where you make the new config. So I'm thinking, because what you do is you'd make your default here, and then you'd write that to a file since there was no file. But again, here you don't want to potentially overwrite a full config with multiple defined alarms. You don't want to overwrite that with an empty, like, generic default. That's pretty nasty. Again, that's rude. Someone spent all that time making all their alarms and stuff, and you just overrode it because they screwed up a colon or something. That's not right. So yeah, let's think about how I want to handle that. So we're gonna leave this angry for a moment. I'm gonna come up here and impl default for some of this. So I'm gonna do a default alarm. No, I'm gonna just do a default alarm config. I don't need a default alarm. Just impl default for alarm config. And all I'm gonna do here is get it to generate the function for me. And I know I could just do I could do the macro, but I'm gonna do it this way. So we'll just make a new vector, and it's just gonna be an empty vector. We have no alarms yet, but that's our default. Easy, quick, simple, effective. I like it. For now, let's go ahead and do something here. Let's do print line error deserializing alarm config from string using default. Not print line. Why would I print line when I have log.warn? Okay. And then we're going to return alarm config default. Not return, but out of this block, we're going to give back the default. How do I want to use this error? Like this. Sweet. Okay. So now down here, log info. Alarm config. Hold on, broke that. Just like that. Boom. Okay, so we're gonna read in the config. We're gonna print it out just to show it. And then right now we're not actually using it. Is there an issue? Oh, I'm doing that before initializing the logger. Stupid me. Now, I intentionally did that at first because I knew I was deleting that other code, but now we do want the logger up here. Okay, there we see we're in. It's goofy, I love it. Hey, I press Control C, stop it. All right, so yeah, we have our config here. It looks great. It's exactly what I expected. Now we can have some fun with it. I think what I'm gonna do is bring in another sound file, and I wanna confirm that that's working as well. So give me just a moment as I find a sound file. Where's... Dude, I swear, did I not leave that open? Okay, apparently I didn't. Oh no, here it is. All right, we'll get this one here. And I will copy it into my res folder. You can already see it popping up. We're just gonna say alarm 2. And I do need to go export that as a wave as well, so give me just a moment. Where is my res folder? It's a good thing this is quick because I don't have a setup ready to show what I'm doing here. We'll export as a wave. Sweet time, thank you. Alarm2.wave. Is it showing up? Yes, it is. Perfect. So now, the next thing that we would want to do in order to test this is we would want to say alarm2.wave is the 30-second one, and alarm.wave is the every 12-second one. So what I would be targeting here is I would want to be able to verify that those are both repeating very quickly. I would also want to set up some more rigid alarms, like these target times here, and verify that they happen when they're supposed to. Now, that's a lot of logic that's not actually happening yet. All we're currently doing is supporting a single alarm, and it's very bad. It's not actually great. So one of the things that would be interesting is maybe actually spinning this out into a thread like I had mentioned before. And Fereyu brought up a good point with this earlier, talking about snoozing and such. So the idea could be that if you have multiple alarms going or something at the same time, maybe you want to do something with like a channel, and you want to pass some information between threads, and you want to have one thread over here controlling which alarms are active, which alarms are not, or something, and you have another thread which is just basically your worker, and it's, you know, maybe listening for some control information from that channel. That's a thought. So this is going to be something that I probably have to think a little bit more about before I commit to something. But where it stands now, maybe I go ahead and... Ooh, let me think. I had an idea. For these every X minutes, we have to keep every X something. We have to keep track of the last time that it was actually called, that it was actually, that it happened, right? So seconds probably doesn't make sense. Maybe hours. I would say minutes even makes sense, because my thinking with this is that you would have something like, what's it called? There's a certain like productivity hack where you like work for 20 minutes and then step away for like 5 or so. I don't know. There's some weird productivity hacks that happen at the speed of minutes. So I think that would be a use case for something like this. I think seconds is a little bit absurd, but it functionally would basically be no different than minutes, seconds, hours, or days. They're all the same when you're dealing with durations. So I'm not concerned about implementing all of those, but seconds is a little bit odd. But that's why I have these. And then, of course, daily and hourly, that definitely makes a lot more sense, I think. Particularly daily, you might have like not just an alarm to wake up or something, but maybe I'm a software engineer, so we have daily stand-up meetings or something, and you might make an alarm to remind you for your daily stand-up meeting or something, right? I could think of things that you would want to be reminded every day or something. So that's the idea that I'm going for here. You would also probably be able to do specific day for that. So there's some overlap. Actually, no, that's every X days. So that would be a little bit different. Daily would work fine for that. So yeah. What that means is if I want to do something now, the easiest thing to test would be every X seconds. So that would be the first thing I want to try. But again, that means I need to also keep track of the last time that it was called. So does an alarm also carry with it a timestamp? Maybe. Would we want to write that to a file? That's what I'm not sure about. But let's go down that rabbit hole a little bit and see where it leads us. I'm not actually going to be going that much longer though, so I'm afraid I'm going to get too far down this rabbit hole. I want to end within like the next 10 to 15 minutes, to be honest. But let me think about this. Let's try to go down this rabbit hole and see where it leads us. Again, this is not scripted or anything. I'm just going off the cuff and seeing what happens. And then, you know, we clean it up, we evolve it over time, right? So far, however, I want to call attention to the fact that I've used no unwraps. Hey, to be fair, I copied that from the docs. We're just going to bubble that up. I'm going to say, hey, if we can't make the logger, there's something really wrong. So I'm probably okay with it crashing at that point. And cargo Clippy. Try this instead. Oh, how the hell do you know that, dude? Oh, because it's a tuple struct. Okay, that's right. I forgot that that format was a tuple struct. So instead of the brackets, I was like, how does it know Windows API stuff? Because it doesn't really. All right, this impl can be derived. Sure it can, but see, default, I'm a little torn on deriving. I don't know. Well, I'll think about that. And I'm not currently using file and write, but I am probably planning on doing that because as the user modifies their alarms, adds new alarms, whatever, we want to be able to save that config. So that one you're definitely off on, Clippy. And this one is subjective. Whether or not I want to derive it depends on whether or not I want to change it. So if I decide it's going to always be an empty vector and I never do anything different, then I'll change it. But right now I don't know. So let's do a build, and we're in pretty good shape. So, okay, let's think about how I want to handle this now. So for each alarm, that's the first thing I want to do is say for alarm in alarm config dot alarms dot iter. And we're gonna actually bring this down in here, just like that. And then, okay, so target dot, not target, alarm dot target, right? Yes. Is that not a duration? Or is that not a date time local? Let's double check. It is a date time. Oh, target time. That's why it was not colored in properly. No field, yeah. Let me check this notification. Okay, we're good, I think. Alrighty, sorry about that. So if now is greater than alarm.targetTime, alarm is happening. That's gonna trigger like most of those alarms I set because they were set for like 10 to 15 minutes ago. But it's fine. And then here we're gonna say alarm sound. And then, so this is where the question is, where do I confirm that the sound is valid? Let's see. Give me a moment to think about where I want to put that. I could do some extra config validation after deserializing it. And say, hey, you screwed up. So we could say... The word alarm is starting to break in my, like, I can't, it looks wrong. Okay, so all I want to do here is say, if alarm dot alarm sound, if not alarm dot alarm sound dot is file. For the moment, I'm going to say panic. Is not a file. Okay. Path, oh, right. It's path buff. Ah, I cannot type. Okay. So that means we know it's going to be an actual file. At the very least, that's a guarantee here. So now I feel a little bit safer when I say, where is the string? Is there just 2-string? Yeah, 2-string. Except now we have a little problem of an unwrap. So I'll probably want to provide a default here. Why would it fail UTF-8 validity? That's why it might fail. What if you have a file name that's not UTF-8? Okay, good to know. Something to keep in mind. We go for safety, even though right now it's not safe. What happens if I run this now? It's gonna be a mess. Hear me out. Yeah, that's about what was expected. Okay. So what we do is, see, this is where it's getting a little weird now. And I'm probably gonna have to sit back and think a little bit more about it before I come back to this. But we have two different things to keep track of. If something plays every blah seconds, we need to know the last time we played it. And we don't actually have a target time per se. The target time in that case is every whatever seconds. In the case of these other ones, it is a specific target time, which almost means that we have two different variations of what a target time can even be, right? Which means this could probably be replaced with like an enum for target time, or an enum for the target, basically. Or an option. It only makes sense to have a target time on some of these. On these, it just plays that every however often. Except, no, you do want the target time to tell it when to start. So yeah, we're kind of going to have a combo of both, I think. But we could do something like last played. And we could actually run a check against that. The problem is I don't have it in my config here. So we're going to hold off on that for now. Yeah, alarm config. Here's what I'm looking for. So what we want to do is if now is greater than alarm.target time and we haven't played it. And then we also have to consider, we need to manage the idea of, what state the alarm is in. Is it snoozed? Has it been dismissed and we're waiting on another repetition? And that actually gives me a great idea. No repeat. A one-off alarm. In fact, this would be fun to be able to delete from the config dynamically. So there's a lot of different logic here that's going to be based on which enum we hit. And it might actually make sense to do a lot of that in an impl block for the enums, rather than doing anything here. But I just need to work out what data I want to pass around. So I think it's a bit of a, bad spot to leave it, a bit of a cliffhanger, and it's not working as much as I hoped. But again, I don't have infinite time. I have other things I need to do, and I've got an early day of work tomorrow, so I can't just go all night, unfortunately. But I will pick this up again probably on Monday, and by then I should definitely have some ideas on where I'm going to take this. I think I'm not that far off from where I want to be. It's actually going to be difficult for me to not touch this until Monday, but I'm not that far off from getting it into a pretty good state. It's just these last like couple things to piece together that I'm working out. And again, I'm thinking out loud as I'm doing it. No scripting, as should be very obvious. I still say it's decent enough progress for now. I can't really complain about it. So yeah, I think that's going to be it. Just trying to make sure if there's anything else I wanted to say here. Let's go ahead and do a quick recap of everything that's going on here. So we have defined this config, and it's like multiple structs and enums. Basically, a config consists of multiple alarms, and an alarm has a path buffer to a sound. So we could have different sounds for each alarm. A target time, which just says, hey, I want you to do this at some time. But this is target time is fine. Again, this is where the repetitions are going to become interesting. To do target time plus repetition interaction, and a repeat cycle. A repeat cycle says I want the alarm to happen every day, every week, every month, whatever, every hour. Or you could say every 3 days or something. There are cases where that makes sense, every other day, whatever. So, yep, we could have specific days. If you want only work days or something, you could build out the set of just Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday, whatever your work schedule is. So we got all that set up there. I went ahead and enummed the weekdays because we need that for this, at least the way I'm planning on doing it. Here we have our play sound function, which is a wrapper around the unsafe play sound A function from the Windows crate. So it's interfacing with the Windows API basically. It should be safe. There may still be a couple issues that show up with it, as I've seen, but we'll work those out over time, hopefully. And main, start up our logger. We get our config. We have a YAML config now. We could see it here, which it's looking great. And then what I'm actually doing is I'm checking to make sure that alarm sound is actually a file. So if I do this, we should actually panic. If we don't, there's a problem. Yeah, alarm.wave is not a file, so that's good. That's what we expect. So yeah, we read in our config from the YAML. We convert it to that alarm config struct. We double check to make sure everything's a file, or at least all the sounds that we're pointing to are files. And then yeah, we still have the basic like hard-coded thing in here that says let's make a now, and we're actually still going to want that. So it's like let's make a now, and then let's make a target. Let's set it for 5 seconds later, all that fun stuff. And then this is kind of a mishmash of two different things at the moment. So this is where it's going to get interesting, is kind of morphing this logic around a little bit. But basically this worker loop, just it goes through, checks which alarms should run, runs them, and then sleeps for a second and tries again, basically. So yeah, that is it. What I'll probably end up doing is, again, maybe using some channels or something. I could think of some ways that channels would make this work pretty well. Basically offloading the processing to a thread somewhere else, the actual like thing that's playing the sound and stuff to another thread, and then just doing the basic checking over here. I've done something like that in the past. It worked out very well. So we'll see how it goes, though. It can be easy to overuse threads. So I'll think about it before next time. I will also go ahead and delete this target here. And it's going to make that mad. So I will delete that. And now, now. And there we are. Okay. So yeah, that's it. Little recap there. fun times dealing with the Windows API and all that stuff. Glad got a new follow today too. That's fun. Coding streams have been interesting. I like it. It's fun kind of putting yourself out there and seeing what happens. And as I said, no scripting or anything. Just make yourself a little vulnerable. Walk the tightrope a little bit and see where you get. I'm having fun with this. More fun than I expected. So thank you to anyone who showed up today. Thank you for the new follow earlier. People hanging out and chatting and stuff, making me hydrate, which I'm empty now, but I did get that hydrate. I'm about to go get another water. I am thirsty. But yeah, I'll be back on like Monday or something with more of this. And we'll probably have it like, unless I just really run into some issues, we'll probably have it fully functioning on Monday. And from that point, and when I say fully functioning, I mean all like the features will be here at a console level, like what we have here. And then I can actually start thinking about, well, should I extrapolate this to a GUI? There's no reason I can't. So maybe that'd be fun to do. So, and then, you know, put this thing on a, I'm trying to censor myself. The language, it almost slipped out. Put this beast on GitHub or something. Like, cool, right? Okay, so again, thank you to anyone who showed up today, and until next time, have a good day, have a good night, whatever it is, wherever you're at, take it easy.